Let's talk about positive affirmations for a minute. Positive affirmations are a big deal in the birth world. And if you've done any kind of birth prep up to this point, you've probably encountered this idea. I've attended births for the past 10 years as a midwife and a doula. And I want to start by saying that I love positive affirmations. I think they can work really well. But I think it's also really important to talk about why sometimes they don't. So, to start, I want you to imagine for a minute that you are wanting to tell yourself, I trust my body to birth, my body knows what to do. But maybe you are somebody that didn't have an easy time getting pregnant. And maybe when you check in with yourself, you'll discover that you actually have some deep beliefs that your body didn't know what to do when you wanted to get pregnant, and therefore you can't trust it. When we try to use a positive affirmation to shift an unresolved emotional wound or experience, it's a little bit like trying to put a band-aid over a significant cut that needs deeper tending than just a superficial dressing. If you try telling yourself, I trust my body to birth, but you're unaware of this deeper belief that you have that contradicts completely the affirmation, it's pretty simple. The affirmation won't work. And the reason it won't work is because there's essentially a really big part of you that is in resistance to this affirmation and that isn't going to just accept your words because it doesn't feel that it's true. So while positive affirmations can work under certain circumstances really well, for example, if you're trying to switch your mantra during labor from I can't do this, I can't do this to I am doing this, I can do this, it works really well. But when it comes to trying to shift in our conscious belief, we often need to tend to the emotional component of our belief before we can choose an affirmation and before we can have an affirmation really create an impact in our experience. Otherwise, we just get stuck in the disbelief and it doesn't work. So how do you know if you have a belief that contradicts the affirmation that you're trying to use? The way that you'll know this is by paying attention to your body and your sensations. If when you say in your head this affirmation to yourself, you notice a contraction or kind of like a pulling away, that's a really good indication that you're trying to close a gap that's a little too big. So if that's the case, I recommend doing two things. The first one is that if you notice resistance to an affirmation, work to find out what it is. What contradicting belief do you hold, and what do you need in order to start shifting this? To figure it out, you can either use your own journaling process or you can even seek professional support like a coach. Or I personally, in my courses and in my one-on-one work with people, I always dedicate a good chunk of time to shifting these beliefs because I've seen so many times like how much impact they have on our experience. The second thing you can start doing when you work with affirmations as soon as today is to find a belief or an affirmation that's a little softer. Something that you can believe and that when you say it to yourself, it feels good in your body. So for example, instead of jumping from I trust my body to birth, maybe you can start with my body is growing my baby really well and I can trust my body. Or anything else that you can choose that feels like it's closing the gap a little bit. So it's in a way paving the path to the belief that you want instead of trying to jump too far in your mind and then your mind and your body just end up rejecting the belief because that gap is there and your body's like, wait a minute, I don't actually believe this. So I hope this made sense a little bit about affirmations. Thank you so much for being here and watching this video. I'd love to hear in the comments below what beliefs you're working to shift about birth, what affirmations you're working with, what's worked for you so far and what isn't, and what you're doing to shift it. Thank you so much for being here, and have a really sweet day.